Come out to the coast. We'll have a few laughs. Ho, ho, ho. Now I have a machine gun. Welcome to the Bladtcast Christmas special. Accept no imitations. The 2022 Christmas special. As always, I am Christian Blatt. Welcoming back to the Bladtcast fold the two members of Bladtcast Nation who belong on Mount Rushmore with larger faces than mine. The one, the only Mr. Jeff Duray. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm in full support of desecrating native lands. Go Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, I was going to go ahead and knock down the Crazy Horse monument that's not too far from there. That's not a bad idea, right? That's
perfect.
To build a monument to the Bladtcast. That's in perfectly good taste, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a Christmas miracle. Also a Christmas miracle with us. And I am always in awe of where the facial hair is these days. The one and only Mr. Will Starling. I think it's looking great.
Oh, thanks.
I love the mustache. The rest of it, you know, it's trying to catch up, but the mustache.
It's patchy and shitty. I'm trying to.
But that's all right. Look,
patchy
here
you
and
have
shitty,
to try to grow it out to stimulate. It's got to get going. You can't just always be clean shaven if you're trying to fill in the patches.
Yeah, patchy and shitty is what we've been doing for 519 episodes now. So I think it's what people have come to expect. And speaking of things we've come to expect, Dominica Saxon in the chat, Merry Christmas and Happy Kwanzaa. I tried to engineer a return from our pal Matt and KC. He's busy at work. You remember when that guy used to be dedicated to this show? Well,
I know. What the fuck? He used to give us money and barbecue, and now
to be fair, I do still have some Bevmo money from episode 500. We still haven't had that party. Yeah,
I was gonna say, and I thought there was still money on a Bevmo card from years ago.
Well, I'm sure that's not true. I'm sure that's all gone. But
or the Rock and Brews card used to. Well, that's not
the
from
Rock and Brews card. The Rock and Brews card had $500 on it. That wasn't from Matt and KC. I did that at an auction at my kid's school. There's I don't know, $380 left on it. Actually, there's probably even more than that. Don't worry.
We could go to Rock and Brews. It'd be cool. Be like, this round's on us. Well, I don't know, 4 or 5 people. You get free.
No, just the rounds for that table. Also, only the cute girls at that table. No fatties is basically my rule at Rock and Brews. But don't worry, there'll be plenty to celebrate in the new year, and we'll talk about it when the time is right. I'm just celebrating because I'm excited that you gents are with us and with me. And I think that people should keep in mind that the Bladtcast is the one show where we don't ask the question, is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Because we know Die Hard's a Christmas movie. Yeah. It's set on Christmas Eve. It has 2 goddamn Christmas songs in it. What else do you need?
The score
of this conversation.
Also, I think Michael Kamen did the music. The score also prominently features sleigh bells as its motifs. I don't know if I'm using that word right. It's a motif.
I think it's a motif. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Jeff, do you have any non-traditional Christmas rituals, whether they be something you watch, you read, or maybe you just take hostages in an office building in downtown just to celebrate Die Hard?
I don't think I do anything non-traditional. I ignore my family if that's
very traditional.
That's traditional. Yeah.
Very traditional.
I mean, we used to do all sorts of stuff for Christmas. It used to be normal shit. We would have a night where we put all the ornaments on the tree, and it was a whole thing because we had way too many ornaments. There was boxes and boxes of them to the point where the tree would suffer. And then they would always do the look up the chimney in your pajamas. But it's as I've grown to hate my family, I refuse to participate in these things any longer.
Well, that seems complicated by the fact that you actually live with family and near family. So
you'd think so, but my sister flew out from LA and I haven't responded to her texts or calls. So,
I mean, that sounds like the Christmas spirit to me. I don't know.
When did she fly out?
She got in last night or something like that.
Oh, you got time. That's not.
But
it's not
I'm
she's been there.
Continue not to talk to her. It's not later on I'll hit her up. It's
I see.
Fuck off.
Oh, gotcha.
Look, I think if we can learn anything from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation is that bad things happen when family gets together. And I think that, Jeff, you're just running with that. And maybe you'll spend the day with Chevy Chase as just watching him, not actually, with Chevy Chase.
I think I've just got renewed commitment, right? Like, what's the point of hating you for 364 days a year? I'm going for 365.
Will, I want to know that I because I follow Will on Instagram, and I think everyone should at Will Sterling _, of course.
Sure.
You've been hip deep in the holiday spirit, and you've watched some things that I recognize and some that I haven't. So what's been on the old Viewmaster for you this Christmas season, Will Sterling?
I love old black and white Christmas movies, and there's a lot that I feel like It's a Wonderful Life gets all the love for like classic Christmas, and then maybe Miracle on 34th Street, but like and White Christmas. But what have I watched? Holiday Affair with Robert Mitchum and Janet Leigh.
Okay.
It's a weird movie. It's nice because it's Christmassy, but when you actually like consider this plot and what's happening, it's actually fucking really weird. But it's great. What Christmas in Connecticut with Barbara Stanwyck? That's a great one. I'm sure you've seen that at some point, right?
Christmas in Connecticut, I believe I've seen, but to be fair, I only saw White Christmas for the first time a few years ago, and I think there's some good songs in it, but boy, that story is a little thin. But
story's real thin. It really exists just for dance choreography and for singing. It's not really
I wish they wouldn't try so hard to prop up other aspects. Like when you're making a movie for music.
I do get a little teary-eyed when that general, everybody comes in. He's all like emotional. He's like,
I do like that.
I'm like, oh God, what a beautiful moment.
Well, that's because of all the years that you spent in the shit.
That's right.
Yeah.
In World War II.
We're glad that Will's back home for Christmas this year.
The Lemon Drop Kid with Bob Hope. That's like one of my favorites.
I've never even heard of that. Wait a minute.
So silly. I love it.
That doesn't sound like Christmas.
It is, and that's where the song Silver Bells originated. That was written for and originally performed in that movie.
Oh. So
he's like a shitty betting guy who gets in deep with the mob and needs to pay back up. So at Christmas time he tries to get all this money together and not die.
So it's a darker version of the pilot to The Simpsons, where Homer loses the Christmas money at the track, so he comes home with a dog. No.
Yeah, he does lose a lot of money at the track. So there's that.
Yeah. So there you go. See, these are starting to sound more and more like Christmas to me.
It happened on Fifth Avenue, where homeless people break into rich people's houses who aren't there for the winter because they're at their vacation homes, and they sleep in rich people's houses. That's another great one.
So that sounds like Occupy Christmas to me. Is that what that movement was part of?
That's right. Occupy. God, I forgot about that. All these movements that happened.
There's so many movements that I know that one's quaint now, isn't it? Occupy Wall Street.
Yes.
That'll take us back. Well, I wanted to ask about a few specific things. There's been some new Christmas entertainment out this year. Have either of you gents had the privilege to see Violent Night?
I'm going tonight. Actually, I have tickets.
Okay, so absolutely no spoilers. It is available digitally now. It's been in theaters, and I think that they were very smart. And a few days before Christmas, they're like, let's let people buy it and watch it at home. It's everything that I thought it would be from the trailer. Basically, what if Santa starred in Die Hard? I think you can tell that from the trailer. And then there was a shocking amount of heart to this movie that I wasn't expecting.
Oh.
And it was there's a couple of moments where I'm like, oh boy, they really went for that gory scene right there. It's no Silent Night, Deadly Night, aka a Christmas classic. But yeah. And look at this. Dominicus Saxon says he saw it half what I expected, but had some nice moments that were cool. And Jeff, when you were talking about hating your family, I missed this. I was remiss in my comment from Dominicus Saxon that he knew he loved you for a reason. Jeff, we all know we love you for a reason.
You just don't know what that reason is.
Well, we've got 12 days to try and figure it out this time of year. You have any ideas what that reason might be, Jeff?
Couldn't come up with one.
That's all right. Well, there'll be another Christmas next year, so maybe that's what we'll look for. What were you going to say?
What's a bummer about that movie is that I'd only seen billboards. I didn't even really know it was coming out, and I was like, "Oh, look at David Harbour as a bloody Santa." I can kind of imagine what this movie is going to be about, but I didn't. I purposely avoided the trailer. I didn't want to know anything. I was like, I'd like to go in blind. And I took a Uber, and the driver was like, "Oh, are you going to see that movie?" And I was like, "Yeah, probably. I've only seen the poster." He's like, "Oh," and then he like tells me everything that happens in the trailer in detail, and I was like, "You fucking son of a bitch!" Not that like you can't. I mean, I guess it's not technically a spoiler, but I love seeing a movie where I know nothing and everything unfolds like completely organically.
And it's very hard to do that in this day and age.
And I was like, "God damn it!" I mean, the plot sounds fun, and I was like, I would have loved to discover this in the moment.
There's a lot to discover.
Yeah.
And John Leguizamo with a tour de force, I think, is a fair thing to say.
Yeah.
Earlier on the Bladtcast, I was raving about the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. Have either of you gents had a chance to watch it? I don't know the answer to this, if you've had a chance to see it yet.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Jeff, what were your thoughts?
It was fun. I don't think it wasn't like overly memorable, but it was fun. Like it's kind of inconsequential, which I think it's somewhat meant to be, but it was like, it was cute. I just wasn't like, yeah, now that's going to be something I'll watch where they kidnap Kevin Bacon once a year.
Well,
and
perhaps
just like
next year. Perhaps next year they'll kidnap his brother, and then it'll be really hard for the Bacon Boys to play a Christmas show in 2024 or 2023. I don't even know what year it is.
I think didn't that Spirited movie come out close to the same time? Because it was like both of those were unexpected musicals for me. I was like,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. This was.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I didn't know Spirited was gonna be so heavily musical. I didn't watch the whole thing. I like turned it off because I was like, this is too much for me right now.
Too much musical?
I love musicals.
That doesn't sound like you.
I know, but like I was just not in the mood. I was like, I can't. These guys can't sing very well. I need to pause this and get my bearings.
Did you get your bearings?
I haven't finished it.
Okay, so no, your bearings have not been got. We're gonna try and get our bearings. I thought that the Guardians Christmas special was fun, but Will, I tried to manage your expectations for it. What did you think of it?
It was enjoyable. It was cute. I mean, it's like it was 45 minutes, so it's like not a major investment.
That's important.
Yeah, and I didn't feel like. Like Jeff said, it's like kind of inconsequential. So I didn't get this feeling that like it really matters. I don't know. It was enjoyable. It wasn't spectacular, but it was cute.
I thought it was the first time that really Mantis had anything to do. It was the most time that we've really gotten to spend with her character-wise, and then also like powers. I'm like, oh, okay, so she can like kind of jump around on walls and stuff that we've never seen her do. And her and Drax paired up, I think, was a fun moment. My favorite moment, which we only barely touched on the episode we did on it, was the fact that now GoBots are canon in the MCU. I think that's really the thing that we all needed, But and the song at the beginning, the old 97 song, the I Don't Know What Christmas Is song was very catchy, and this was one of those times where I was mistaken for a Big Shot, and I got to watch it a few days before other people, and I was like, man, I just want to talk to people about that song, but no one's heard it yet. So I think it's supposed to be inconsequential because all indications are that Guardians 3, like most of them die or whatever, and Will, I know I'll just have to tell you about it. I'll have to tell you what happens.
I'll probably
yeah, but it's a great transition talking about the Guardians Christmas special. And the main reason why I mentioned it is since the last time we were all assembled, there's been what they like to call a shakeup in DC in the movie business. And so going forward, they're going to be spearheaded by James Gunn and Peter Safran. I don't know anything about the other guy. I know what I know about James Gunn, and I like what I know about him. Will, this seems like this would be important news to you. Is this good news? Are you trepidatious? What do you think about this?
It's good news. I think it's been so aimless for such a long time. I wouldn't have mind if they tried to kind of get their bearings and figure their shit out with the existing people like Henry Cavill and even Black Adam, I guess. I don't know. I think the thing that annoys me the most is just The Rock's attitude, the ego stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I liked some of the supporting characters. I was like, I don't like you all that much.
Jeff, did you have a chance to see Black Adam, by the way?
I've seen it twice.
Okay, so good. We'll get to that in a moment. I just wanted to know before we dealt with that. So
I think the Suicide Squad was like fun overall as just like an entry because he got access to just like fuck around. It's like ultimately it's just okay. It's not amazing. It's fine plus, I would think. But then Peacemaker obviously is like, what the fuck? Like, no, why is this so good? So knowing like what he can do long form storytelling wise, and I think the emotional depth of like an obscure character like that ideally paints a good picture for what he can create, knowing that essentially between movies, television, video games, and cartoons and stuff, it is all long form storytelling. So he kind of now has permission to do that with the rest. Then it's like, you might as well just fucking hit restart. The comics universe does it every 10 years. So just call it a crisis. And here we are. It's a new 52, except hopefully there's Wally West and not Barry Allen.
Right. I mean, I know that that's what I've been writing to you. And I said you should be tweeting at James Gunn every single day to remind him that Wally, it's the easy fix to their Flash problem, which we will have in 2023. There'll be a Flash problem because that movie will come out and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Will and I talked about Black Adam, but Jeff, you hadn't seen it yet. What did you think of that?
It was kind of shitty. Like, it wasn't bad, but it was just like, I thought all the characters were super uninspired. Like the hero characters, they're just all like really boring to me. We had Grow Man, who's just basically Ant-Man ripoff. We have like Wind Chick, who's like,
wow, he's been around longer than Ant-Man.
We aren't going to discuss any of who you are, and we're not going to build you as a character. We're just going to kind of introduce you and then throw you in for a couple like chuckles here and there. And it was just kind of disappointing in that sense. It was just like you just maybe didn't need as many of these superhero characters as you inserted into the film because they seemed like you were struggling to find a purpose for them other than like brief moments of levity, which I just didn't need. Because they tried it. Basically, to me, the movie was basically somebody who had seen all the superhero movies and just tried to rip off things that they liked from a bunch of other superhero movies, but just didn't execute them very well or find a cohesive way to merge them all together, right? Like, what was cool in Guardians was like when we used classic rock songs to like set the scene. So let's do that a little bit, but also let's use some songs from like Spider-Verse where it's just like heavy bass hip hop feel like for no reason. And it so to me, the score was kind of all over the place. The Rock, as Will kind of pointed out, just can't get out of his own way ego wise. And it's made his movies progressively worse. Because it's like you're so obsessed with billing yourself as this huge, gigantic, super strong like guy when it's just like this is you can never really like fail in any meaningful way to grow. So you just always put your characters on a plateau where they're boring, one note, and nothing really is going to happen with them, right? The most we got is like, I want to kill everyone to like, maybe I don't want to kill everyone. And it's like, maybe you didn't really want to kill everyone to begin with because this contrived backstory about your son dying and then you just being like, murder everyone is like, weren't you friends with the other slaves? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? So yeah, I didn't think the movie was all that great, but I didn't hate it. It was like an entertaining action schlock. But in terms of like creating a character or building into the universe, it was just more of the same kind of like, no, you're not going anywhere. The fact it took you 15 years to get this movie going and this is what you put out is just like, you suck. I thought the Hawkman character, I like Aldous Hodge and I hated his portrayal of Hawkman.
Interesting. Okay.
I mean, I don't know. It was just like overly serious, but like unnecessarily so. And then again with like these stupid quips of like, we're going to talk later. It's like, you can just be like, what is wrong with you? You don't need to say you're going to talk later. We saw him break a monument. That should have been obviously dumb thing for him to do. Yeah. So it's just shit like that, just being, I don't know. It just felt like there was a whole lot of that for 2 hours. And then you get to the end and you're just like, okay. And I know good to see Henry Cavill because everyone needs to see I'm even bigger than him. Like you go on The Rock's IMDb and he lists himself as 6'5". I've seen that fucker in person. He's nowhere close to 6'5". He's not that much bigger than me. Like it's ridiculous how he portrays himself.
Yeah, he's also on steroids, so there's that.
And also, a lady friend of mine about 20 years ago was at some event, and it was one of those co-ed restrooms. And she saw The Rock walking about, he finished his rock business, and she chastised him and made him wash his hands after he peed. So that tells me that he's got pee hands. Jeff, the only thing that surprised me about everything that you said about Black Adam was that you said you saw it twice. It doesn't sound like a movie that I'd go back to.
That's what I love. Like, why did you see it twice?
It's because I saw it once in the theater with my stepdad, and I saw it once on HBO when it came out with Natasha because she hadn't seen it. So it was like I watched it the second time, being like, nothing's getting better.
Dominicus Saxon, again, we appreciate you running the chat. Hawkman yelling at Growman was funny, but Rock was so two-dimensional it ruined the movie. Should have just been Hawk and Dr. Fate. Dr. Fate was what I thought was the best thing in the movie. I thought just visually what he did was cool, but also, I mean, Pierce Brosnan, I mean, he just kind of came in and bent reality so that he could steal that movie from The Rock, but The Rock would never.
Well, he also has the reps and like ability as a performer that like he just lends authenticity to things, the way he speaks and the way like he's like a real actor, not that Aldous Hodge and those guys are not real, but they're still so young that they're taking it so fucking seriously that like it's so hammy that Pierce Brosnan is like, listen, I'm just here to have a good time and not take myself so seriously. So it's like, it's interesting that the guy who it feels like is not taking himself so seriously is the one who comes across the most authentic. And they really nailed that character from a production standpoint.
And then they killed him.
But I think that was the problem with the whole tone of the movie. Is like they have these actors trying to take themselves incredibly seriously and like be all serious, but then they have them doing ridiculous like comedic bits where you're just like, okay, is this serious or not? Like, is Black Adam like a broody teen, or is he like love catchphrases? Like the way that they tried to be like, Thin Man in Black got sent you. And then he like just does a bunch of shitty versions of being like, the Man in Black sent me. It was just like, this joke goes nowhere. Like it just fell really flat for me.
Yeah, by all accounts, it's not true. But on this podcast, I would always lean into the fact that there were memos around Warner Brothers that DC movies would always have the memo of no jokes. And, Zack Snyder is a little light on the humor. But sometimes when you do get the jokes, you're like, ooh, can we go back to the no jokes? Well, Jeff, what do you think about the future and what James Gunn means for the DC universe?
I mean, look, on one hand, I think having somebody who's actually made some of these movies and clearly has a passion for the source material is a good sign for Warner Brothers, because it seems like they haven't figured out to do that previously. That said, I feel like his movies have gone downhill, right? The best superhero movie he made was the first Guardians, and then the second Guardians was not as good. Suicide Squad was okay, but it wasn't like as good as Guardians. So it's not like he's necessarily on an upward trajectory with the movies he's producing. I totally understand like the frustration and backlash where people are upset with the Henry Cavill no longer playing Superman, because it's like where they went ahead and announced that he was coming back, and then immediately are like, psych. Yeah. Not to mention, it's like you took somebody who was so perfect for the role and just fucking wasted them. So I think most of this anger and vitriol is coming from that, right? Like, okay, it's been almost 10 years since the first movie he made came out. Why didn't we do a better job of making more movies with him while he was in the part? And that's why it's like, I think a great analogy would be like a sports analogy. You've drafted this like superstar running back, and then you don't get any offensive line. So you just watch this guy who you know is super capable just running to get negative yards every fucking play. And you're just like, what are we doing here? Well, and then they trade him away to another team, and you go like, cool, I'm glad that we never could figure out how to use this guy.
I do want to give you some breaking news, because we do know who the new Superman will be, and he's actually with us right now. It is the one, the only, standing outside of Angel Stadium, the one and only Liev.
Ho, 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 gentlemen.
Is that Moo?
I liked Black Adam, and then I guess they broke the news the day after I watched it that he wasn't returning and Black Adam wasn't returning. Or at least The Rock wasn't. That sucks.
The best part of all this is that your name doesn't say ho, ho, ho. It says ho, go, ho. Ho, go, ho.
For people who don't watch this show on YouTube, you really miss these great visuals, like the fact that it does say ho, go, ho.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. To be fair, Moo's been pulling me.
Opening day isn't for like 3 months.
95 days.
95 days, yeah. So what's happening? Why are you literally standing under the big hats at Angel Stadium?
I was hoping to gift Shohei Ohtani to somebody.
Not the Mets. We don't need him.
He's not here.
Oh, he's not.
No, we live close by, and Moo likes to run around the stadium.
So can he smell the rally monkey? Is he somewhere beneath the stadium?
Yeah, he's not here either. He's with Shohei.
Oh.
It's in Shohei's contract to have the rally monkey with him during the holidays.
I think that's probably I don't know. I think we should all want the rally monkey to be with us for the holiday time. So, Liev, this is, I believe, your first appearance on this show as a married man. It might be your second, but this is your first married Christmas. What's going to be different from last Christmas?
Won't be as drunk.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
No, I definitely have a leash on me.
Oh, it's called marriage.
Does Taylor take you out to the parking lot to run around so that you can get some energy out too?
I actually fake it. I don't go around run. This is my time to drink. I'm sweating because my blood pressure is so high from drinking.
But are you traveling, or are you guys just going to have a married couple Christmas?
We hope so. We're doing both parents, and I think this will be the first and last Christmas we ever try to do this. Because it's a lot. We're traveling actually Christmas morning.
Oh, good.
We're flying.
That sounds like the best day to travel. Yeah.
It sounds like there won't be any kind of depressed or stressed out pilot flying the plane either that wants to just crash it into the ground.
Yeah, and the great news is that there's no weather issues anywhere in the country this week.
No,
so I think you have nothing to worry about.
And that sucks because my brother lives in Chicago, so he won't be able to. He's already given up. He's not even going to try to fly out.
Oh, I thought you meant he's given up on being your brother. I felt like he would have given up on that a long time ago. I think I met him once, actually.
Yeah. No.
So what? So you've been married for like 4 months now, right? What? Or maybe even
5 months, actually. Yeah.
So what are the big changes in your life now?
Nothing really. In case she watches this, happiness.
Oh, yeah.
It's increased.
Imagine if she does watch this.
The chances of her watching this are remote.
She doesn't even listen to me on the radio. Why would you watch this?
Hey, I occasionally listen to you on the radio, and I'll post little Instagram videos because you're on the digital channel for Jack FM. So if I'm in the one car that has the HD radio in it, I'm like, oh, I know who I can hear giving away concert tickets or making jokes. Your co-host barely tolerates you. Does that sound accurate?
Just like you guys did.
But I bet she loves you just as much as we did. So I don't know how much that is, though.
I know. Dude, did we start a petition yet for Will Sterling as the new Superman?
I'm glad you said that because, to be fair, just moments ago in the chat, Dominicus Saxon pointed out James Gunn hasn't replied to me about having Will be the new young Superman. And Liev, you might not even know this, but Will, you've talked about it. I think you talked about it on the show. You did actually audition to be Superman or Superboy on something, right?
Yeah, on Titans.
And you didn't get it. And then you saw the show, and did you feel less bad after you saw the show?
No, I mean, it'd still be a fucking great part to have. But the guy they cast looked even younger than me. To play like it as a hypothetical dream, it's like, yeah, it'd be great. But like, not that I'm that old, but I just turned 35. And I'm like, I don't know how young you're looking for, clean shaven. I guess I kind of still look pretty young, but
yeah,
I'm kind of aging out of these dream parts. I gotta start dreaming about old people parts.
You're gonna have to be Superman's dad, within the next few years. Hey, Liev, what do you think of Will's mustache? We've all talked about it. I love it.
I want to be in a dark alley with him.
There we go. Finally.
I'll show you a dark alley.
Now we're getting into what people.
Hey, Christmas.
Where's TK?
He had a family health emergency, so he was going to be with us, but he's not with us. But so we've got the four of us together, which is great. And what some of you might not realize, in a few weeks, a little bit less than a month, in January, it will be the 10th anniversary of the Bladtcast. Can you imagine that?
Why?
My wife asked the same question when I told her I was going downstairs into the garage to do this on Christmas Eve. She didn't say it, but you could see it in her eyes. It was why. It's not like there isn't a lot of other things upstairs that still need to be wrapped and assembled and put together and all that. But I'd rather chat with you fine folks. So we'll do some big stuff for the 10th anniversary, but I don't know if anybody's excited about it except for maybe me.
I'm thrilled.
Yeah. Well, during the course of the last few months, I've been fortunate enough to be a guest on a fairly well-known podcast called Who Are These Podcasts? And the host, Carl, will take a podcast and we cut it up and you play clips and you basically make fun of shows. I may have even done it with a Podcast One show. But in any case, so I've asked Carl to join us sometime in January, and he and I are going to take episode 1 of the Bladtcast, and we're going to listen to it, and we're going to isolate all the good moments. Liev, do you think you might be concerned about anything I haven't listened to it since we recorded it. So do you think that there should be any concern from you and your well-being about anything I might find in Bladtcast episode 1?
Nah.
That's a married man for you. He's got a lot less to live for.
I am going to get going now. I'm going to bring him in and get water. But I look forward to the 10th year.
Yeah, I mean, how amazing have these previous 10 been for you?
I feel like I don't get enough.
You know what? I think people don't get enough of you. But we appreciate you taking the time. If you're that close to Angel Stadium, then that means that we can meet up at that Hooters across the street before a game sometime during the season.
I don't think that Hooters is there anymore.
All right. We'll have to go to a different one.
There's definitely two breweries we can go to. We'll find something.
Hey, Will, do you remember we went somewhere really special nearby there with Larry O'Connor once after a game? Or was maybe you weren't with us? Maybe it was Ken. No, Ken was there. I thought you were with us too, though.
No.
Oh, all right.
I don't. Did you go to a strip club?
It's a strip club. Yeah, it was like right there. It was before Larry got remarried.
I would have remembered. Is it ever not a strip club?
I mean, it should always be a strip club. The last thing that I'll ask from you, Liev, have you watched anything great that you're excited about? You liked Black Adam. But you're disappointed that the Black Adam story won't continue. Anything that you've seen, Christmas or otherwise, at this part of the year?
On Netflix, and you guys, I'm knowing you guys, you probably watch it, Murderville. Who Killed Santa?
Oh, I saw that poster for that. Is it funny?
I have not watched that yet, but I did watch the documentary about the guy who tried to get a Harrier jet with Pepsi points. So
okay, I want to watch that too. But Jason Bateman's in it.
I do like Jason Bateman.
It's funny. If you've never watched one of the Murderville episodes, it's where Will Arnett, he has a script, but his guest, like Jason Bateman in this one, there's no script, so it's all improv.
I like it. All right. Well, you know what? That's a great recommendation. And any plugs? I guess you'll be out at Stagecoach this year.
I'll be at Stagecoach, but no plugs. Don't find me.
I don't think he'd have that hairline if he had plugs.
Merry Christmas!
I think we just have to let you go on that. Merry Christmas.
Bye, guys.
Tell Taylor we miss her. All right. Oh, yeah. And I wasn't sure he was going to make it, and he barely did. But he saw Black Adam. That seems about right. But, there's one word in that title that makes me surprised that he saw that movie. But, we can move on. If you remember, there was about a decade ago, he was very excited about there was a film being advertised, Black Nativity. That was, I think, in the early days of the Bladtcast.
I remember that.
Yeah. And according to Minica Saxon, the traditional 10-year anniversary gift is aluminum. And I do have...
Guess we're getting fucked up with a bunch of beer cans, empty beers. Woo!
Yeah. And the last time I had lined up a big celebrity guest for the Bladtcast, I ended up having to have a different celebrity guest. So I'm not going to announce anything, but there'll be some special shows for our 10th year. And we'll do some regular shows, some special shows, and all of that. So Jeff, I feel like you got your thoughts in about James Gunn, but I wanted to bring Liev in. Was there anything that you wanted to revisit on that? I think we're the crowd who's like, sure, that could be good. Let's see. It's only like the diehard, no pun intended, to the greatest Christmas movie of all time, but the real like dyed in the wool like Snyder bros are the ones who are like, fuck that guy.
I mean, look, it's one of those things where it's like, it would have been cool if Snyder got to just make his vision the way he wanted to. Cause it's like, after the news, I rewatched Man of Steel and the Dawn of Justice. And it was interesting rewatching Dawn of Justice one. There was a bunch of scenes that I think were the inserted scenes where I was like, oh yeah, this movie does make a lot more sense and is much more cohesive this way.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and then the Justice League one that he did was, I mean, infinitely better than the one that came out, and definitely seemed, again, like when given his ability to just make the movies he wanted to make, they were good. I enjoyed them, at least. So I understand why people would be like, it's a huge bummer this guy didn't just get to make the movies he wanted, especially when we live in the world where everyone seems to get to make whatever the fuck they want at whatever quality they want and then stick it on a streaming service. But it is what it is, right? Like it fell through because large part due to the horrible tragedy with his daughter, it seems like. So we just kind of have to accept the world as it is. Like I think Black Panther 2 would have been better if Chadwick Boseman wasn't dead, but he did die. So what are you going to do?
Will, I think that the other big sort of DC movie news that came around the same time was not surprising, and I think actually good news, was that Patty Jenkins turned in a script for Wonder Woman 3, and they read it and were like, yeah, what else you got? Yeah. Because Wonder Woman 2 is one of the worst movies that I've seen in a very long time. There are things about it that, like, sure, visually it's okay. They obviously spent money. There's a decent enough cast. She's great. I like her. I still don't know why she flew for so long in that movie, but the movie was really bad.
She lassoed lightning, Christian. Come on.
Yeah, that's true. That's what I try to tell my wife, but she doesn't believe me.
That's what's awful.
Lasso that lightning.
Yeah. Jeff Johns wrote that script with her too, and he's like, used to be DC's like golden boy for a really long time, and then I think it's just kind of like he's been doing other shit for many years. I don't know what his deal is, but he started dabbling in like writing for television and other projects. And it was one of those things where I was like, oh, this is not a medium. This is not his medium. Like he wrote a lot of great comics, but he wrote some episodes of like Smallville, some Justice Society stuff, and I think some of the Arrowverse stuff. And I was like, yeah, this is not good. And then that movie, I was like, oh, she wrote it with him. I was like, that makes sense. He somehow doesn't know how to make the amazing stories he wrote in comic book form coherent as a movie. Like when we were talking, Jeff Winstead was on, just kind of all the little changes you could have made to like fix. It's crazy. I mean, it's always easier to be like what's the phrase? Monday morning quarterback. Is that right? Am I using that correctly?
Yes.
About shit like that. But when it's that bad, it is very much like guy in the room situation where you're like, this is great. But one question, why does it not make sense? I just need it.
Yeah. We kind of like our movies to make sense.
Yeah. It's so we dodged a bullet. I love Gal Gadot. So hopefully, I don't know what the future in terms of casting is going to be like, but I do think she's still bankable in that role. And so I wouldn't be surprised if she at least stuck around as that character.
I would like to see her again. And I think Henry Cavill, you feel like it's too bad he didn't really he got one standalone Superman movie. He didn't really get a chance for more. But, if you're telling stories with these characters younger, I guess, you move on from them. And I guess we'll have to see what Aquaman 2 brings. I had a memory from I guess last night or earlier this week was the anniversary of when the first Aquaman came out, and it always warms my heart to remember when we all went to see it together. And Agent Romanoff, Jeff's girlfriend Natasha, was with us, and she was laughing in the middle, and Will was like, "This isn't funny." But it was Patrick Wilson with some, really, really clunky dialogue, and
he owns that clunky dialogue though. Somehow he's still entertained. He's committed. He's entertaining to watch.
Jeff, does she ever ask to fire up the first Aquaman and watch it again with you, or was that a one and done?
She has not. I don't think she's ever been like, "Oh, I really need to watch Aquaman again," which is interesting. You were talking about Gal Gadot. I feel like she's starting to fall into the Dwayne Johnson problem, where it's like all her roles are kind of one note of like, I'm the coolest, most awesomest person that's ever lived. Here's me on the screen. And I'm getting a little fatigued by that character. I feel like if I don't see her play a different thing, I'm going to just not really buy into her acting anymore.
I haven't seen her in much except for that, whatever the last like Hercule Poirot movie was, which was really bad.
Oh, the
Kenneth Branagh,
Death on the Nile.
Death on the Nile. Yeah, she wasn't in it that much, and she wasn't
really. I feel like the whole billing was. I thought she was the lead of that movie.
No, because she's the one who has to die.
Yeah, and
what?
She's in this whole movie, and at no time do we it's on a cruise ship. It's running. At no time is she in a bathing suit, and I'm just like, why am I watching this movie if she's barely in it, and she's really just covered up for the entire movie? It's probably because she was pregnant at the time. I don't know what the timing was that they filmed it, but I was disappointed. So I'd like to see her again, but someone else could play Wonder Woman. Will, do you think you have the range to step in as the new Wonder Woman?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I do. I don't think you could play Wonder Girl at this point, though. You'd have to be Wonder Woman.
Too old.
You're too old for Wonder Girl. Yeah. Are you too old? I think you're too old for Robin as well.
Well, I could do Nightwing.
Can you imagine?
Nightwing, not the Titan.
I'm just imagining the shit fit people would have if they cast a trans woman as Wonder Woman.
Oh, people would lose their minds. They can't handle a black Little Mermaid. Could you imagine?
But it'd really be, I'd imagine the TERFs that would be freaking out the most.
That's true.
Because they'd be like, that's our character!
So is
she's
Jeff,
not a real woman.
Jeff, is that your vote for Laverne Cox as Wonder Woman in the next film?
Yes.
All right. I just wanted to make sure that that's what we're getting. I think that was the news where when I heard that Patty Jenkins is like, and they didn't like what I did, and I was like, well, good, because nobody liked what you did last time. So I'm glad they're not giving you another chance to be terrible. Mm-hmm. Have either of you, I don't know the answer to this, have either of you experienced Avatar: The Way of Water?
No.
I thought that I was going to have seen it twice by now because my son is very excited for it because He wants to be like an oceanographer. I think if he knew what a marine biologist was, maybe. So just the fact that there's all the water, and there's stuff about it that's great, but it is 3 hours and 12 minutes.
Yeah. Why do you have to join the army to work in biology? I've never understood that.
Well, you only catch fish who go hoorah. Dominica Saxon, this is crazy talk. Wonder Woman 1984 was better than Aquaman, but only because of Gal Gadot. I love Gal Gadot. Aquaman was not perfect, but it was pretty good. I liked it for the most part. Wonder Woman 84, I mean, I don't know. If you give me a choice, can I watch Wonder Woman 84 again, or whatever Tommy Wiseau's follow-up to The Room was? I don't even know. I'd watch that. Even if it's not edited together, it's fine. I'll still watch it.
It was the web series I was almost in.
That's right, pro.
Yeah. I will say, like, Aquaman is not good. I'm aware of that, but it's at least one of those movies where you're like, this is so fun. Something nice.
It's a watchable superhero movie.
Yeah, something about this. Wonder Woman 1984 is just like, oh no, this is bad.
My favorite part of Aquaman is that it seems like Yahya Abdul-Mateen II got a lot more roles after that.
That's true. He didn't really need to be in that movie, but it's cool that we had it, considering we're probably not going to get a third Aquaman movie. We'll get to see that character evolve, and then that'll be that.
I heard that they have a Batfleck cameo for Aquaman too.
Yeah,
and that they might not use it because of the way that it tested.
Just put all the fucking cameos in there. They have apparently Superman and Wonder Woman for the Flash. They had cameos that they're cut. I'm like, just put them in. You're not nothing's gonna happen after this. Just show everybody all the shit, give everybody all their remaining treats, and then hit the restart button. It's fine.
Put out that Batgirl movie that has Michael Keaton in it.
Yeah, fuck yeah. God.
I mean, you could have just thrown that shit on HBO Max or something, right?
That was where it was gonna go originally.
Yeah.
But they was an HBO Max original.
You can make more money.
Isn't that telling though? They were like, this is so bad we can't even put it out for free.
They need like a junior streaming service. You know how it's like Disney Plus puts some overflow on Hulu. So it's like HBO Max needs, I don't know, Cinemax Max.
I can't imagine it being that bad. You know what I mean? It's like
what I said at the time is, how could it be worse than Wonder Woman 1984?
Right. Or any of the Fantastic Four movies, except for the Roger Corman one.
Thank you. I'm glad you amended that, because
always.
I was about to kick you out.
That was my joke after I left the newest one. I was like, what a weird world to live in, where I have all three versions of the Fantastic Four. Somehow the Roger Corman one is the best.
By the way, Ghost 86, 83, 86, apologies, Ghost. A Century Project, importantly in development at Marvel Studios. Ghost is a Marvel homer like me. But I think it'll, it's another Superman-like character. But I'd be interested in that. Dominica Saxon has the point. I miss William Hurt, but it's hard to go wrong with having Harrison Ford as a replacement, because Ghost mentioned Thunderbolts. It's tough to be like, oh no, I can't believe that Harrison Ford's going to be in this movie, So, but in any case, I knew that we would spend a little time on the DC stuff. I was glad that this happened right around Christmas time, but I think the most interesting thing is how approachable James Gunn is, and the fact that I've had him tweet responses to things that I've written. He's liked posts that I've made. And, it's like, usually that's not the case for somebody that, you want to criticize something or ask a question to Kevin Feige. You're not getting anywhere near him, So I think it's, I don't know. I hope that transparency helps. He apparently does something where he has his, all of his tweets delete after 90 days.
Oh yeah.
Wonder why.
Well, yeah, exactly. Because if he didn't do that, then he never would have ended up in making DC movies either. And we've talked about that on the podcast.
Did this fuck up get him the job? What an insane
getting fired off of Guardians 3 before being rehired for it is the only reason he ever ended up in the DC universe, and now
he's now the CEO, co-CEO of DC.
So
Studios.
he should have those quote unquote offensive tweets from like 2009 framed in his house, and he's like, thank
like
God those got me
$1
canceled
bill
for like a minute.
The first $1 bill I ever made was this tweet about a half chub, or whatever he said.
Whatever it was.
So that just goes to show now, being canceled, pseudo canceled, you can come back around and be honestly one of the most successful big people in the world. So anything could go for Trump, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, you see those sweet digital trading cards that he.
I saw those digital cards. God, those are so. I honestly spent hours just reading all the different stories about how fucking ridiculous and insane and stupid and shitty the Photoshop of those cards was. Hilariously bad.
Well, I think you misspoke. The word you're looking for is awesome and amazing. I honestly don't know what.
And increasing in value.
That's right.
That is actually true.
The one of him in the NASCAR outfit. It's the thing that's funny about those, and we don't need to get too far, I guess, down the political thing, but it honestly just goes to show, like, this is how fucking dumb he thinks his supporters and his fans are. Like, this is exactly what he thinks about you. You know what I mean? Like,
knows
exactly.
He said he likes the uneducated.
You want to see me? You want to see me dressed as a spaceman? You want to see me dressed as a NASCAR racer? You want to see me as a superhero, as a boxer? Really, I could be anything if you use your imagination and care.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know.
This is the picture of me knocking out Muhammad Ali.
Yeah. It really happened.
Of course it happened. Unfortunately, it was.
He said I have huge hands. He's never felt a hand so big on his face before.
Yeah. I don't want to try and find too many of them, but the ones that I'm able to find here visually. So there's obviously the superhero
in a boxing ring.
Yeah,
he's a superhero in a boxing ring.
Yeah,
well, that makes sense.
That's what Superman does. He goes and just murders boxers. Professional.
To be fair, you haven't seen Creed 3 yet.
American way.
That might be that. It might be. Well, and he's so. So yeah, he's going to be boxing the Jonathan Majors, who plays Kang, and he's Killmonger. So in a way, this is kind of what we're getting in Creed 3.
This led me down an incredible rabbit hole about memes I was totally unaware of, including one called Dark Brandon. Have you heard about the Dark Brandon meme?
I have heard of Dark Brandon.
I was like, what the fuck? The fact that it was actually started by like QAnon Trumpy people, that it then was stolen by liberals to talk about Joe Biden's accomplishments while painting the picture of him as like some evil superhero.
No, he's basically like Zod. He's like it's basically what if Joe Biden was General Zod, and I believe for fans of who are these podcasts and a few other places, I believe Stuttering John from the Howard Stern Show sells Dark Brandon T-shirts, and he's very proud of them. So
sometimes the internet is like you were reminded that like it can be a great place.
Yeah. Hey, Will, what do you think about this hot take from Ghost 8386? Wonder Woman 1984 was better than Supergirl (1984).
I mean,
I don't think it's wrong. I just well, you might disagree. You might have a soft spot.
Supergirl from '84 has an astounding lack of Gal Gadot. So,
there's fair.
Okay.
If Wonder Woman 1984 came out in 1984, it would be an infinitely better movie.
That's a great point. And now I'm remembering how there's like one song from the 80s in that movie. And so like they just missed that whole aspect of like what could have made it fun, Yes. It's like, let's put it this way. You
also said it in 1984 and didn't make it about like the police state, Big Brother watching you.
Why was it even? Why?
Because that actor got to play Ronald Reagan, if you remember. Isn't he in it?
Oh, wait.
There's an actor who plays Ronald Reagan at one point. He's like the Mandalorian is like ghost whispering him. I don't really remember the movie very well, but I know the Mandalorian's in it. So.
Oh yeah, he's Maxwell Lord, which is also a fucking weird.
Soon he'll be playing Joel in the Last of Us show.
Oh, that's right.
Is that? Oh, I didn't even realize.
It's coming out on HBO. The game is fucking amazing. So if the show lives up to the game, it'll be really good.
What are some we can also spend some time on some year in review kind of stuff. What's some stuff that you guys have been checking out lately? Jeff, you always seem to have gotten to the stuff that's on my list of like, oh yeah, I really want to watch that. You've usually watched the stuff that I want to see. What are you?
That's a nice way of saying I have nothing going on in my life.
Yes, that's.
So yeah. Anyways, lately we've been watching C, so I'm probably a bit late on it, but it's been
that's also with Aquaman in it, right?
Yeah. Bringing it
full circle.
Yeah. There's a lot of you got to stretch while you're watching it because it's like the whole premise is everyone's blind, and they do a lot of shit where you're like, if everyone's blind, then why is this happening? But in general, it's an interesting. There's just like, I don't want to like reveal too much in case you ever want to watch the show because it's pretty interesting. Yeah. But in terms of like the overarching story is really fascinating and like, but it's more like in the episodes, certain things that happen and certain things like change the way that they work. All of a sudden you go like, why did that happen? And aren't we still in the first season? You couldn't figure that out, but still enjoying it. I'm trying to think what else we've watched. I don't know. I watched that Murderville thing Baginski was talking about. It was funny. It's like, it's mostly funny because of how much Will Arnett is breaking. Like he's constantly laughing at what's happening.
Look, now that he's not here, does it seem like television for simple people, that simple people would really enjoy that? Is that what you're trying to say?
Maybe. It's funny. It's not, I wasn't blown away by it. Like it had a couple of good laughs in the beginning, but it felt like it kind of lost steam as they tried to get further into their episode.
So it sounds like a Baginski radio show. There's a couple laughs right at the beginning, but it loses steam really quickly.
Yeah.
Unless there's a ladder on the freeway.
I watched Emancipation, the Will Smith movie. It was interesting, but they do this really fucking stupid thing that they don't do well, and it's through the whole movie. You know how it looks like it's black and white? It's not. They intentionally went and adjusted the tones in like every scene so that it just makes it feel more black and white, but certain colors pop, but it's not really in black and white ever. It's just really muted color. But the problem is there'll literally be scenes where you're looking at a person's face and it's like flashing with color and then to black and white. So it's almost like, did your algorithm fuck up? Like what's going on here? It just is really distracting. That color is popping in and out of like the image that I'm looking at when it seems like it's meant to be consistent.
Dominicus Saxon saying Yellowstone rocks. I've heard that from a lot of people. I've not seen it though.
I watched that. It was good. Yeah. I haven't watched the most recent season, but I watched the ones that were available previously, and it's definitely good. It's a lot of like, it's definitely one of those. That guy, Taylor Sheridan, is clearly making shows for boomers because there's just a lot of this glorifying, like kind of old and sometimes reductive ways of life. Well, like on one hand, he'll like make good points and salient points about like their Wild West stuff. At the next scene, he'll say something where it's just like, yeah, because any progress or any different way that people live their lives is garbage. And they should just kill themselves.
It's a weird. A weird.
Well, he's leaned into it even more with the Tulsa King show. It's like literally a boomer fantasy where it's like, what would happen if a 75-year-old Stallone was sick of taking shit from these guys and just punch him in the fucking face?
Yeah, stupid idiots running a dispensary. Whoa!
I do want to watch that, but there's a part of me that's afraid of like, but it's like, should I be going home again? Should I watch that? Because what am I going to think of Sly afterwards?
It's actually I've watched like the first 3 episodes. It's a guilty pleasure for sure because the one upside to watching it, even though it is what Jeff's saying, it's fucking so average and basic, like you can't even believe it. But Stallone is clearly having a good time, and you haven't really seen him act besides like the first Creed, where he's like kind of a character, you know what I mean? He's still very much himself, but you can tell he's having a good time. And I'm like, oh, it's fun to see him like in a show where he punches some guys in the face, but he's not a major action star. So he's like,
did you think he had fun making that Rambo movie that the 3 of us went to see together?
I don't know. Considering now he's like a big like advocate of like no prop guns on set or something recently. He's like, yeah, after the Kevin Spacey thing, he's like, we shouldn't have this. Not Kevin Spacey. Oof. Alec Baldwin.
Same guy, by the way.
Yeah, it was a fucking different. But I agree.
Rapist, different.
A murderer and a rapist. I agree with Yellowstone because it's like I was so in it for like 2 seasons, and then I realized it was just kind of like the same thing over and over again. And it's like I watched 4 seasons, but what's wild that it's so easy to forget about, which is insane, is that, and this is established like in the pilot or the second episode, Kevin Costner's character is a fucking crime boss. Mm-hmm. He has people killed and has probably murdered someone himself. He is responsible for the death of lots and lots of people. And then he goes off to like wax philosophical about like the old days and like there's this protester girl who like gets royally fucked over for like, I don't know, having an opinion about taking care of the planet. And he like puts her in his truck and like shows her like the ways of the West. And then she fucks him. And then she goes to prison because of him. Like, he's the fucking worst person on earth. And yet they go back and forth between like, yeah, he has people killed, but like, he's also like a really great guy who cares about fundamental beliefs.
You're very right. Also, fun fact, that chick is literally the main chick from Coyote Ugly.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that Piper Perabo?
Yep.
I did not know that. I thought she looked
familiar.
Glad I
remember her name. By the way, Dominicus Saxon says, I heard Kevin Spacey had a loaded gun too.
It's true. Blew up in his hand.
No, you're very right. He's 100% a crime boss. And then they'll do things where it's like, I just want to hang out with my grandkids and be a nice old man.
Feel bad
a murderer. You're very much a murderer who's super cool with murder. Like, you need to stop pretending you're like this really cool guy. And the best part is, this is also why it feels like it just feels like it's meant to lean into a little bit more of a conservative older audience, because it's things like that where it's like, yeah, this guy kills, but it's like, to preserve his way of life. And everyone is super cool with it. Yeah, all us farmers are cool if you shoot a guy, because then we'll know you'll shoot a guy for us. It's like, that's not a good message, and that's not a good platform. Like, what is happening here?
The insane amount of shit that like forest and wildlife police, like reserve agents are like allowed to get I don't even know what their designation is, but like they're like storming like militant bases and just fucking killing people willy-nilly, and they're like, I guess we'll have to let this one slide, Costner and your wildlife cops.
What they need to do is have an episode where one of his bullshit employees, who's like a bullshit deputy of something, decides to like pull someone else over because they cut them off, and it's like, I'm a cop, and it's like, no, you're not.
You're not.
Like, yeah, I am. I got a gun. What are you gonna do about it?
Oh, my coppa.
That shows absolutely
Dominicus Saxon says, welcome to the Pacific Northwest. And that reminds me that I never did see that Idris Elba Fights a Lion movie from earlier this year. I believe it's on Peacock now. Mm-hmm. So
I don't really want to see him kill a lion.
No, I think
that poor lion's just trying to lion.
No, I'm pretty sure he fist fights it. I'm serious.
But I have an issue with.
I just want to see the lion putting up its teeth.
Put a bob.
It's like that king, the animated king lion with the little crown. I guess I have an issue with movies like, maybe it's just a present day thing where it's like humans like going toe to toe and like having to kill them because they're like bad. I'm like, that's a wild animal. Like, just don't fuck with it. He's just out lioning himself. It's like, what are you doing? You don't have to kill it.
Then you really wouldn't have liked the director's cut of Lyle Crocodile. I think it's probably good that you didn't
drown Lyle in the bathtub.
Try.
It ends make with boots out of you. A bag.
Little Shawn Mendes piece of shit.
Oh, but see, now that's something I want to see. Our pal Coltrane was unable to be with us, but he and I are going to do a special show in the new year. There's a Casey Anthony documentary on Peacock.
Super boring.
And I texted him if he was watching it, and his response was, "What do you think?" So, yes, he's still all in. So we'll spend some time on that. Oh, of course, Dominicus Saxon sees everything. Beast is fine, but he fights a lion for 10 minutes. The fight would last for 9 seconds tops.
There's no way that lion has that kind of stamina. If he's vigorously beating that lion, there's like.
Oh, I thought he was implying that Idris Elba would fucking drop that lion in 9 seconds. I believe that.
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He would just rope-a-dope the lion, like let it, scratch him up a little bit. And then once the lion loses steam, he's coming in.
The lion hides the fact that he's a southpaw until like the 6th round. Takes everyone by surprise. He was never fighting with his strong hand first.
And everyone's singing Idris Boumaye. And then finally.
Idris Boumaye. I'm gonna assume Will hasn't seen that documentary.
I guess not. I don't even know what that is.
So I was the whole rope-a-dope is from the Ali Foreman fight, which happened in Africa, and in Africa they were all supporting Ali, so they were chanting Ali Boumaye.
I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, and they I think to this day the Foreman grill is still not popular in Africa. Earlier, Ghost 8386 said Elon Musk is a wannabe Tony Stark and Lex Luthor. I mean, look, if you have like any kind of insidious or evil inclination anywhere, yeah, I think that wanting to be Lex Luthor is right up there. I mean, Tony Stark, was I guess they dressed him up real nice, but his company developed military weaponry, so it's not the greatest guy out there. I don't know. I just the point that I made about Elon Musk was that it's like whenever he like actually tweets, he always feels like that meme of Steve Buscemi that's with like the backwards hat, like "What's up, fellow children?" It's like he's trying so hard, and it's like, dude, you're not cool. Like you don't know an insane amount of money, and you have quite a few legitimate children, so respect for not pulling out, But other than that,
isn't he like notoriously bad in bed? Something like every single one of his exes has gone on record as being like he's awful.
He would appear that way. By looking at him, sometimes you can just kind of tell.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, his last name is Musk, so that's not helping.
Right. Do you know what his mom looks like? Somebody described her on Twitter a couple years ago as an X-Men villain, and that's I can't unsee the fact that she looks like pitch perfect casting for an X-Men villain.
She could also play Cruella DeVille.
Yes, it's like an Elseworlds older Emma Frost. It's like this most insane looking rich woman.
She should have played Madam Spider.
Oh, there you go.
Wait,
Madam Spider good? Isn't she good?
Madam Web is that's all right. So you're telling me, and again, this is one of those ones that's a visual for our visual audience. You're telling me, and of course an ad popped up. You're telling me that picture.
God damn it.
There's nothing I can do about
it. It's getting worse.
Sign me up. You're telling me that that's not Glenn Close as Cruella.
As Cruella. Yeah.
That's not what that is.
No.
That's insane. Yeah, that's like Emma Frost after somebody has, sucked like 80 years of life force out of her.
Doesn't help that her name is a supervillain name, Mae Musk. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Mae Musk.
It's Lex Luthor's aunt, Mae Musk. Like,
it's a pseudonym for
Aunt May's fucking 180 Dark Universe. Mae Musk, Aunt Mae Musk, the evil version of Peter's aunt.
Jeff, you were way ahead of the curve on Twitter. You've been off Twitter for I don't even know how long now. You and Dennis Miller, October 2022. October 2020. Yeah, I'm out. Just delete it. Oh, you want me to put it on pause? No, delete it. I'm like, all right.
I love that I've been vindicated by everybody fleeing it like Plague City. But I mean, I don't think my hatred of Twitter has anything to do necessarily with the Musk of it all. It's just like it had just become such a disgusting, vitriolic place where it's like your opinion on anything is just like you're just some random person you've never met's going to have something to say and tell you you're like a moronic piece of shit. So I stopped.
But follow me on Twitter at ChristianDMZ. And at the same time, you can, of course, follow Will at Will Sterling _ I think those are really the important things, aren't they?
Yes.
See, but you guys have like reasons to promote yourself. I have no interest in promoting myself anymore because it's like I'm just better off here.
Well, I'm glad you make time for us. I appreciate that. I see that as an honor.
Mm-hmm.
That you still
this way I can say what I have to say and then not have to hear anyone's response to like the things I have to say.
Except for Dominicus Saxon.
Yeah, that's true.
Or Ghost 8386, who's decided to just drop some fat beats, just some lyrics for Insane in the Membrane, which, look, I'm here for it. I'm here for anytime anybody wants to give us Cypress Hill lyrics in the chat. I welcome it. Well, gents, as we start to wind things down, what are we most excited about for 2023? Me? I got nothing. What about you, Will?
In 2023?
Yeah.
I'll say it here first. Actually, I've said it on my podcast. I got a book coming out, debut novel coming out in the spring. So big plans and some other projects I have.
Do you think we might be able to schedule an appearance on this show where we talk to you about it, or do we have to talk to your publisher?
We'll see. I got to think about it. Yeah.
Do you also think that there's a chance that we can do that Wizard of Oz episode of History Rated R at some point in 2023?
I have to go see Craig every 2 goddamn weeks, and I'm like, fuck yeah, we need to do some.
I haven't pushed. I could write to Craig. I could try and sweet talk him if you need me to.
No, he's already approved. We just need to coordinate and schedule.
Yeah, I also have to remind myself what I pretend that I remember from 11th grade, but I know it's good. Don't worry. I'm not going to let you down. Yeah. What about you, Jeff? Are we excited for any of the DC superhero movies that they couldn't release in 2022 because they ran out of money to market them, like Flashpoint or Shazam 2?
I mean, no, not particularly like excited. I'll still watch them when they come out because I'm like, sure. But it just seems like it's one of those things where it's like, hey, we like to ruin our movies by constantly trying to set up other movies. And now it's like all those movies are canceled. So are we going to like go back to the drawing board and fix some of our scripts from the current movies that are coming out? Not likely. If they had, maybe they'd end up having been better movies, but we'll see.
Yeah. I think, there's the ones that we know are coming. I'm intrigued by whatever this splash is that James Gunn's going to make for Guardians 3. What's his big ending to that story? But I think the movie that I think I'll be most disappointed by if it isn't great is the sequel to Into the Spider-Verse. And it was a pretty cool trailer for that. The first one was so good. And, there's no instance in history where a first movie is good and the second one is not as good. I mean, not something we were talking about earlier. But those
two guys, Miller and Lord, right?
Yeah.
They've hit on a bunch of stuff. So it's like, it's easy to have faith in them until proven otherwise. Like they haven't really made a shitty movie that I'm like in this medium that I'm aware of.
Yeah, that's because Disney didn't let them make their Han Solo movie. They brought in Ron Howard to make it, so we don't know. Maybe they could have made a shitty movie. Might have made a great movie.
Yeah.
Apart from your own novel, though, is there something? I don't know. Are you trepidatious about Flashpoint because it is another Barry Allen story?
I want to see Michael Keaton as Batman, and I like the character of the Flash, so I'd like to see some of the effects. And I like that director, and I like the composer. They got to do the music.
There's a lot of stink around Ezra Miller, though. That's the
Supergirl
problem.
It's a huge problem. The problem is now easily solvable by just not making a sequel and canceling that. So they've managed to save themselves a lot of grief because Ezra was a huge problem. But I'd like to see it for its other pieces. It sucks when one person fucks up something that like 500 people worked on, because it's like, now we clearly have
this
to.
Was the moment that Liev was sitting in the waiting room waiting to come in, because that just would have been the perfect timing. But anyway, sorry, go ahead.
For everybody who makes a movie, crew wise and the rest of the cast, and I want to see fucking Ben Affleck as Batman again. I like Ben Affleck as Batman. Goddamn, sue me. You know what I mean? Like, I would have much rather that James Bondy Batman movie that he wrote than the fucking Matt Reeves one. I don't care.
I'd definitely be down to seeing Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Thomas Wayne Batman.
Flashpoint Batman. That would be cool. Maybe that'll happen. So maybe there's some fun shit in the store. I don't know.
Well, yeah, and you're just so you're out on all Marvel movies at this point, or did you see Black Panther 2?
I saw Black Panther 2, yeah.
And what was your thought? Because you hadn't seen it when we were doing the episode.
It was all right. It was kind of a mess. It's hard. How do you recover? You know what I mean? Like after that, it's not really my place to say, but I thought that they could have handled it better. The death, like it was like, it felt actually like not that. I don't know. It was weird. And I thought the guy who played Namor was cool. I still think the wing on the feet. I still think that character is so silly that they tried so hard and they gave them such cool backstory and they really motivated it. And when I saw him fly around, I was like, I cannot. I'm sorry. Just take away. Just make him fly without the wings. This is no. And I think maybe because I have like Aquaman to compare it to, I didn't understand this like the way that the underwater people, because sometimes they were like super fast and powerful, and then sometimes they were just like swimming normal, and it was like I didn't understand the science of that universe. Not that I needed to, but it was weird. I like Shuri, you know, like that's great, good. I'm happy, but I don't know. It wasn't great.
Well, in the chat, there's some milestones. Ghost will turn 40 in 2023. That's something you guys don't have to worry about just yet.
That's why his screen name is 8386.
Oh, yeah. My wife's going to turn 40 as well. She's born in 83. And Domingo Saxon will be 52 in a few months. You know what? If you really did take a day off of work today so that you could be here for us, I'm glad. I think you deserve it. I think you need some more R&R, some more downtime, my friend. But we appreciate you always being consistent and spending time with us. Yes, Jeffrey.
One point, since we were talking about Black Panther 2, I think a big issue is introducing new societies that have kept themselves completely hidden in the MCU after the Thanos situation.
Right.
Like, it doesn't make any sense that what was the name of their city? Underwater.
I don't know. It's not Atlantis. So that's why I don't remember the name. So basically just call it not Atlantis.
Not Atlantis. So it doesn't make there's a couple big issues I had with the movie. One, if they're so clearly superior to like anybody who's trying to come get them, all right, they identify Wakanda as the strongest surface nation. They have absolutely no fear of going to war with Wakanda, but they're driven by a fear that the white man is going to come try to get them, whom they think is inferior to Wakanda in terms of military power. That makes no fucking sense. Your motivation to reveal yourself is that people who are clearly not strong enough to do anything to stop you or like affect you might eventually want to try to come affect you. It just boggled my mind. And then secondarily, it's like, so you're never going to address with this community anything to do with the Thanos snap, or how that could have potentially led into you being like, well, you know, we've just assumed we had nothing to do with what was going on the surface. And then half our people disappeared. And we were like, maybe it does. So we should check out what's going on up here.
Right.
That seems like it would have made better sense in terms of a motivation than like, hey, and then here's another point. This dude's 1,500 years old, or however old he is, 500 years, whatever
500,
it was.
yeah.
And saw slavery happening in his native land and just killed the immediate slavers and was like, back to the water. Let's not free any other slaves. Like, what the fuck? There's just like some really weird motivations of the characters. And then I personally thought Letitia Wright was not good in terms of they didn't ask her to handle any of the emotional gravitas in the whole film. Like anything emotional had to be with one of the other much better actors, like her mom or M'Baku or somebody else, because she just wasn't really emoting anything in any of her scenes.
I felt like she should have become the Black Panther after she realized that like rage and vengeance wasn't the answer. It was weird that actually I was thinking they were going to do some like, you don't need the heart-shaped herb. There's some, some sort of like mythological way to become the Black Panther. But you
have the power to become Black Panther all along.
It turns out
Dorothy.
anyone, if they eat the fucking, I mean, they have to be in the family, I guess. But like, I was like, oh, so it doesn't matter that she hasn't learned the lesson yet. She can become the Black Panther when she's sort of like evil Shuri and then learns and fighting the worst Aquaman that she shouldn't kill him or anyone, and then she's better. I was like, wow, like everyone's learning these lessons like out of order, and then it's just like, and here's a sequence of like Chadwick to make you sad. I'm like, motivate this, god damn it, like don't, it's just sad for the sake of sad.
And their whole scene in the very beginning of the movie with the UN, where they're basically like, yes, so what, we have weapons that could kill all of you. It's not like we would ever let some evil dictator take control of our country like we did in the last film.
Yeah, that could never happen. We would never.
You guys don't remember, do you? Oh, I guess you do.
It's just like it just felt like lazy motivations for a lot of the characters, and I chalk that all up to we're way too far into production to really go back to the drawing board, and Chadwick died, so they had to like dramatically shift the motivations and tones of a bunch of things, and I don't blame them. I still will, like, if Coogler makes a Black Panther 3, I'm gonna definitely be there to be like, all right, let's see what you got this time.
Yeah.
It just felt like there was too many things working against this one for me to give it a pass, as much as I'm sure it deserves one, because there was the motivations were just lazy and didn't make sense. And it was just like, what are we doing here? Like because that was some of the excellence of the first film, is like they come to grips with like, hey, our isolationism is actually super selfish and shitty. And then it feels like we just went back to like, yeah, we should go back to isolationism. Fuck the rest of the world. Like, what? I thought we got like past this.
The weight of Chadwick actually passing away and how that affected the story. When, spoilers, obviously, for anybody watching, when the mom died, I was like, no, this is already weighing over. Why does this need to? I don't think this needs to happen. Well, it doesn't change anything.
In the original version that Ryan Coogler expected to make of this movie with Chadwick Boseman in it, she was going to die. But then it's like, well, but that doesn't mean she has to still, the motivation for Shuri doesn't really change. You just make her angrier. She's already angry enough.
She's more mad.
Yeah.
And
but I agree with Jeff's point in that I'm more excited and interested in a Black Panther 3 because this got it out of the way. It's like they decided they need to address this and deal with it. Great. Is she going to be Black Panther again? Is Lil T'Challa going to, go into some portal and then pop out and be like 15 years older? It's comics. You can always do it.
They would face a lot of backlash if they had a workaround to make the Black Panther a man again. That would be
Lil
very
T'Challa
bad.
X is exactly who I want to see
Lil
starring in the next
film. Jeff, I haven't talked to you since it ended. Ultimately, what did you think of Andor?
I liked it. I really enjoyed the show, and I felt like they did a great job where they had this main continuous story, almost making short narratives to make it like move, because we're going through time, right? Like you kind of have your original little like what is it, the what did they call themselves, the factions or something, where it was like something conglomerates. Right. They had their little first 3 episodes with that. Then you kind of have your little
the heist
narrative. Then you've got your prison narrative and so on. And I mean, the characters that they brought in, the different storylines and motivations, it felt like they fleshed out the world the galaxy in a more meaningful way than they have in a lot of the other stuff that we've seen.
Yeah. I think that Will, I know you didn't have any interest in it, but it was surprising that their follow-up to a Ben Kenobi show was, we're going to really get down in the dirt and talk about the problems with fascism. We're going to really sit and spend a lot of time with it. It's some incredible acting moments, but then also it's like grown-up Star Wars, but not like, Star Wars After Dark, where it's like, yeah, we're going to say fuck, and it's just like, oh, I can't imagine children enjoying this because it's like too sophisticated and over their heads, like these concepts. Like I couldn't imagine watching this as a kid, but as a very old man, I enjoyed it. Dominicus Saxon says Andor was such a good series, so many amazing parts. Every episode got better and better. It was more Star Wars than any of the movies. I mean, I think that why it was good was that it wasn't as Star Wars as most of the stuff that we've gotten. There's times where you're not even thinking about how it's in the Star Wars universe. You're just sort of dealing with the issues at hand. But that's all right. Well, you don't even need Disney Plus at this point. I hope you don't have it.
I do not.
Although the new season of Doctor Who will be there when we get the new Doctor. So
I'm so scared about Disney's influence.
It seems like Disney keeps like putting teasers or like little bits of their stuff out on Hulu now too. So it's like as long as you got access to Hulu, you can still get some of it.
And Will, I can tell you didn't watch Jodie Whittaker's last episode of Doctor Who because there's something you would have talked to me about if you'd watched it. So
I know a lot of things have already been spoiled for me, which makes me very angry.
But I don't think it's I don't think the thing that I'm thinking of was spoiled for you.
There's something I know that's very specific to me that's spoiled.
Oh, okay. So if you know that, then you might as well not even bother. Then
the bummer.
That was what I was excited.
I'm still gonna watch it. Like the New Year, Christmas and the New Year is like for whatever reason when I try to catch up on Doctor Who, and so like I've gone to her second season now to try to see if I can do it.
Well, there's a Mary Shelley episode I think in that.
I've seen that. I watched that on just out of order because I wanted to see it. But
the thing for you in there makes it almost makes the whole thing worthwhile because I was like, oh, that's good for Will.
I know. I'm excited to see it. Spoilers suck, but I was like, well, it's at least I'll have something that's nice.
Well, that's all right. Well, spoilers may suck, but hanging out with you guys sure doesn't. So thanks for hanging out and spreading some holiday cheer and some end of the year reflections. I'm excited for Bladtcast year 10, or does that make it year 11 when it's been 10 years? Yeah, so I guess we're going to start year 11 in January. I think that's how that works, right?
Yeah.
Because it's been 10 years. This is January 2013. And I don't even think we'd ever been in the same room with Jeff at that point. You were at Bujenski's party, his 30th birthday party. Wait, he's turning 40 then. That old bastard.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I didn't even make fun of him for finally being like old. Well, my wife's turning 40. Actually, I think he did. He already turned 40, Bujenski. No. His 30th birthday party it couldn't have been 10 years ago because we did it on the Bladtcast. Never mind. I'm really bad at math, but that's okay. Well, I look forward to whatever 2023 brings, whatever we're going to get to talk about, whatever we might see and experience together. And Will, people can find you History Rated R. What else is going on?
That's the podcast, then the book, and some other things that I'm keeping secret for now, but we'll see.
Can the book be found for pre-order now, or should we just promote it in the new year? Okay.
Yeah, we'll be big promotions in the new year.
Do you think that to promote the book, you might be able to get at willsterling.com, or have we just given up on that?
We'll see. I guess maybe Elon Musk is going to clear out the dead Twitter account, so maybe I can take it back from that old man.
I mean, you deserve it more than anything, you know? And if there's anybody I know who deserves to steal things from dead old men, it's, of course, Jeff DeRay. Jeff, you don't want to be found, but I'm glad you let us find you periodically and check in and say hello. You know, you make the exception for us.
I'm gonna have to start wearing one of those masks that blocks my face out so I can't be facially recognized.
Oh, so you're gonna wear a Kanye on Alex Jones mask? You're gonna get one of those?
I was just thinking like the glasses that like shine the rays back into the camera so that it like blurs your face out. It was in some bank robbery movie. I can't think of which one.
Yeah. They're all bank robbery movies. But of course, you can find me at Christian DMZ. And next week, I will be a guest on It's Eric Nagel with Eric Nagel. We'll be doing a year in review. I think we're recording it on Monday, but people will find it on Friday. And the Bladtcast continues to plug along. Liev asked the great question, why? I'm not really sure, but it's fun. It gives me an excuse to talk to you guys and some other people out there in the world. And I have fun with it, and I hope others at least have some degree of fun. And otherwise, why would we keep doing it? But Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. It's not over yet. Happy Kwanzaa. And of course, on this show, we always say Happy Life Day.
That's right.
And we'll see you in the new year. And we'll see you next time on the Bladtcast. Oh, man.
Gets harder with age.
No, it gets much softer.